Have you ever done a simple favor for a friend, something you didn't think twice about? I'm talking about the small stuff, like lending them a pen, spotting them a few dollars for coffee, or letting them borrow your phone for a quick call. It seems harmless, right? An everyday act of kindness. That's what Sarah thought, too. Her story is a stark reminder that sometimes, the simplest favors can spiral into a nightmare you never saw coming. It's a story about trust, betrayal, and how one small decision can land you in a world of trouble. Stick around, because this is a lesson you won't want to learn the hard way. Sarah and Jessica had been friends since college. They weren't the see each other every day kind of friends, but they had a solid bond built on shared memories, late-night study sessions, and a mutual love for bad reality TV. They trusted each other. So when Jessica showed up at Sarah's apartment one Tuesday afternoon, looking flustered and a little frantic, Sarah didn't hesitate to let her in. Jessica's phone was dead, she explained, and she desperately needed to make one very important, very quick call. "It'll just take a second, I promise," she said, her eyes wide and pleading. Sarah, being the good friend she was, handed over her phone without a second thought. "Of course, take your time," she replied, heading to the kitchen to make them both a cup of tea. She could hear Jessica's muffled voice from the living room, the conversation sounding urgent but brief. A few minutes later, Jessica handed the phone back with a relieved smile. "You're a lifesaver, seriously," she said, giving Sarah a quick hug before rushing out the door, promising to call later. Sarah watched her go, a little puzzled by her friend's haste but ultimately shrugging it off. It was just one call. What could possibly go wrong? She put her phone on the charger and went about her day, the entire incident fading from her mind almost as quickly as it had happened. The tea grew cold on the counter, forgotten. 2 weeks went by. Life was normal. Sarah went to work, hit the gym, and binged her favorite shows. She'd texted Jessica once or twice, but her messages went unanswered. It was a little strange, but Jessica could be flaky sometimes, disappearing for a bit before popping back up with an apology and a good story. Sarah didn't worry. She was busy planning a weekend getaway, completely oblivious to the storm that was brewing, a storm that had started with that one simple phone call. The knock on her door came on a Saturday morning. It wasn't a friendly rap, it was a loud, firm, authoritative sound that made her heart jump. When she looked through the peephole, she saw 2 police officers standing in the hallway. Her mind raced. Was it a noise complaint? A problem with her car? She opened the door, her stomach twisting into a knot. "Sarah Miller?" one of the officers asked, his expression unreadable. She nodded, confused. "We need you to come with us. We have some questions for you down at the station." "Questions? About what?" Panic began to prickle at the edges of her composure. The officers wouldn't give her any details, just that it was a serious matter. As they escorted her out of her apartment building, neighbors peeked through their blinds, their curious stares feeling like accusations. Sarah felt a wave of humiliation and fear wash over her. In the back of the police car, the world outside her window seemed to blur. What could they possibly want with her? She was a law-abiding citizen. She paid her taxes. She'd never even gotten a speeding ticket. This had to be a mistake, a massive, terrifying mistake. At the station, the fluorescent lights of the interrogation room felt harsh and unforgiving. The air was thick with a silence that amplified the frantic beating of her own heart. An older detective, a man with tired eyes and a grim set to his mouth, sat across from her. He slid a file across the table. Inside was a call log. Her call log. He pointed to a single entry, a number dialed 2 weeks ago, on that Tuesday afternoon. "This number," the detective said, his voice low and serious. "It was used to coordinate a major drug transaction. A deal that went bad. Someone got seriously hurt." Sarah stared at the number, her blood running cold. She didn't recognize it. She'd never dialed it in her life. I don't know that number," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. "I've never called it." The detective leaned forward, his gaze intense. "The call was made from your phone, Sarah. At 3:15 p.m., 2 weeks ago. Your phone signal pinged from your apartment. So, either you're lying, or you let someone else use your phone." And then, it hit her. Like a physical blow. Jessica. The frantic visit, the dead battery, the one urgent call. It all came rushing back with horrifying clarity. "My friend," Sarah said, the words tumbling out. "My friend, Jessica." Her phone was dead. She just needed to make one call. It was her. It had to be her. The detective's expression didn't soften. "And where is this friend now?" he asked. Sarah's heart sank. She didn't know. The next few hours were a blur of frantic phone calls and desperate explanations. Sarah tried calling Jessica, but her number was disconnected. She checked her social media, but Jessica's profiles had vanished. It was as if she had been erased from existence. Sarah was left alone, sitting in a cold police station, the prime suspect in a serious crime she knew nothing about. Her simple act of friendship had become the central piece of evidence against her. The weight of her situation was suffocating. She explained everything to the detectives, over and over again. She told them about her friendship with Jessica, about the surprise visit, about the urgent plea to use her phone. She gave them every detail she could remember, her voice cracking with a mixture of fear and betrayal. At first, they were skeptical. Her story sounded convenient, like the perfect excuse. "So you're telling us your longtime friend used you, implicated you in a felony, and then disappeared off the face of the earth?" One officer scoffed. It sounded insane, even to her own ears. But Sarah didn't back down. She was terrified, but she was also innocent, and that gave her a sliver of strength. She told the truth, a desperate, unbelievable truth. She provided old photos of her and Jessica, text message histories from months ago, anything that could prove their friendship existed and that her story wasn't a fabrication. Slowly, painstakingly, the detectives began to listen. They saw the genuine panic in her eyes, the raw terror of a person caught in a web not of her own making. They started to see her not as a criminal, but as a potential victim. The investigation was long and grueling. Sarah's life was turned upside down. She was released, but she was still under a cloud of suspicion. Her work was affected, her relationships strained. The trust she once gave so freely was shattered. The police eventually pieced together the truth. Jessica, it turned out, was deeply involved with a dangerous crowd. The call she made from Sarah's phone was a panicked arrangement to a deal that was already falling apart. When things went violent, Jessica fled, cutting all ties to her old life and leaving Sarah to take the fall. It took months for the authorities to locate Jessica and for Sarah to be fully exonerated. But the scars remained. The experience taught her a brutal lesson, one that she would carry with her forever. Sometimes, the most seemingly innocent favors can have the most devastating consequences. A borrowed phone became a piece of evidence. A moment of trust became a lifetime of caution. Her story isn't just about a bad friend, it's a powerful warning for all of us. In a world where our phones are extensions of our lives, they are also a record of our actions, and sometimes, the actions of others. Be kind, be helpful, but also be wise. Think twice before you hand over your trust, because you never know when a simple favor might turn into the very evidence that points straight back at you. Thank you for watching. We share real stories with real lessons to help you navigate the complexities of life. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe to Moral Compass 01. Stay safe and stay aware.